All right, thank you for joining us, everyone, today as our look back on SLIAC men's cross country. We are joined here by former Greenville University runner Josh Martsolf, a four-time all-conference performer, two-time runner of the year. How you doing, Josh?
Doing great, thanks.
Thank you for joining us today. As we look back on the decade that you competed in, my first question for you, you were part of an unprecedented run. We mentioned that you won the SLIAC championship twice, but an unprecedented run of 10 straight SLIAC champs coming from that Greenville Panther program. Can you just talk about that run and that program as you entered, as you continue to follow it along?
Yeah, sure. I think the thing about being a part of some of that is when you come in when I did, there was already groundwork laid. I had the same a similar fortunate experience in high school, and I think that stuck with me. That there are people that we stood on the shoulders of, people who really laid groundwork. And for current athletes, I think that's always something to remember, is that what you do and the example you set, the example you lay, that's going to set the people behind you in the years to graduate after you up for success. So when I came in, there was already some great groundwork, some great athletes that had run for Greenville. And of course, Coach Patton was a consistent piece. So when it came time to race at the conference meet, it was always one that he really had us geared up for. And thought being that, hey, this is a meet that we like to be successful at and that we have been successful at. This is what we train for. Let's do it. So it was kind of neat to be a part of that. And I think that can start at any time. But in my case, I was fortunate that groundwork, that example had been set.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Coach Patton there a little bit, and that kind of leads me into my next question. Talking about a run like that, there's certain to be pressure in joining a program like that and keeping that success going. And I'm sure Coach Patton helped you guys mentally prepare for that. But how do you handle that pressure in keeping that tradition alive?
Yeah. So I think if it's been done before at a certain level by the people before you, that always helps. I think that's true at a conference meet. I think if you're a part of a program that goes to a national meet often, or a high school program that goes to a state meet often, you get the luxury of it being a little more of an afterthought, because from that perspective, it's, hey, people before me did this. They're telling me I can do it. They're telling me they did all the things that we've done the last year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and we're going to do that. I think, at Coach Patton's right hand there, the time I was there, for most of it was Jeff Bollet, who I stayed really close with. And Jeff was a great athlete himself and moved into an assistant coach role. And he really helped paint some good vision. And also sort of, he's a good storyteller. And he was sort of able to weave a story of people he was close with who were 3, 4, 5 years older than me, and sort of weave this story of success that the team had, and all the while telling us, hey, you guys can do these same things. So it's kind of neat. It was neat to be a part of that, and having Jeff, who had done it himself, and again Patton, who had been there even longer, sort of as that consistent anchor to it all. And I think Coach Patton did a great job of letting Jeff run with that part of it. So yeah, that's what I would say about it. That's how it was handled. And I think in our case too, for a couple of those years, Coach Patton did a really good job of, at the conference meet, that really is what kicked off the sort of the championship season, the grand finale, right? You're down to weeks left in the season. And in a few of those years, a big goal of ours was to try to make it to the national meet in what is easily the toughest region in D3 cross country. That Midwest region is brutal. So there's so many good schools, so many huge schools with a lot of good athletes. So that we had our eyes on some big prizes, and Coach Patton did a good job of saying, hey, this conference meet is really where this starts, that sort of championship season frame of mind. And the last thing I'll say, because I'm kind of getting long-winded on this question, is that he really did a good job too of engaging the whole team. that wasn't the directive really wasn't aimed at just the top 5 who were going to score, just the top 7. He really instilled in people that, hey, this conference meet is an opportunity for everybody from top to bottom on this team to really make a mark. And there's there's all conference spots up for grabs, and there's room at a meet like this for people to step up and do a good job. And we needed that a couple of years because people were hurt. So yeah, we kind of joked saying bottoms up, and that meant that everyone from the bottom to the top was really going to show up big at that race. So yeah.
Yeah, I love what you said there, that perspective, and involving the whole team. Because, right, cross country's kind of different. Other sports, basketball, you've got your starting 5, you might have a couple subs that play, are able to play in the championship. But like you said, at cross country, if you come out and run the race of your life, you're an all conference runner. You get to hold on that. So everybody's competing and has that same opportunity to get those awards. So I really love that perspective that you mentioned there. You also earlier just mentioned about that goal of the team reaching nationals. Now the team didn't make it, but you yourself did qualify for nationals in 2005. What do you remember from that experience?
I remember that I remember where that experience started. For whatever reason, at the end of freshman year cross country, because my senior year was the year I made it, I remember leaving my dorm and stopping in the stairway and having a moment, would have been shortly after the regional meet, and thinking, man, a fourth of my college career is done already, like in a flash. I just got here a few months ago, right, to college, and a fourth of it is over. And I think I was serious before then, but for whatever reason, that night, real urgency hit me. And, as the next couple of years unfolded, the goal from that moment in that stairway was, hey, making it to the national meet is the goal. That is the goal. That's the main goal. That's the only goal. Everything along the way is fine, but that's the goal. So was really fortunate to finally do that senior year, make it to the national meet, and the experience was great. It was an honor to get to race in that. It was a good learning experience. When the race was over, it was a big outpouring of emotion. I can relate every year at March Madness basketball. When teams go out, and you see tears in these guys' eyes, and I feel like for anyone who's competed in college, you get that. It's like you're friends with your teammates, and unlike the pros, you don't get to say when you're done. It's just you have your eligibility, and when it's over, it's over. And it was a pretty special thing, sort of make that to that final meet, get to compete in that, sort of reach that goal of making it. So yeah, it was a special time. It was a special moment that I was able to share with my family, with my coaches, and it was pretty neat. So
very, very cool. Yeah. A couple more questions for you. Looking at this list of all decade runners, do you remember, competing against a few of them? Any stories or any memories that kind of pop up back in your mind when you look at a few of those names?
Yeah, for sure. So I certainly remember Ben Glass from Principia. He was always a big name that we were looking out for, not only at the conference meet, but he raced well against us often. So there was a few guys from Prin in that era that I remember racing, but I do remember Ben specifically. We always had some nice conversations before and after meets. And there was, I look at this list and I'm pleased to see so many Greenville names on it as well. And of course, those being my teammates, I remember those people well. And I remember duking it out often with Bo Meredith. There was a lot of back and forth. I was digging back, trying to remember what happened 15 years prior, and it looks like, it's been that long, a little longer even, I guess now. But looks like Bo and I were pretty close my sophomore year too, duking it out, and it continued that way until Bo graduated. So a lot of I'll say every day was a race, but that competition within the team was really helpful, I think, to have that there on the team and not trying to be doing it alone. The other thing too, a lot of the names are on this list. Most of them. There's a few that aren't. The biggest memory, I think, about about these names and some of the ones that aren't on here from our team specifically is the things that the group did as a team. And I mentioned Jeff Bollet, our assistant coach. I think he really did a good job of painting a vision and creating some real motivation. And one of my favorite things, probably even more so than nationals, is to think about. Favorite accomplishments, I guess, is what the team was able to accomplish and who it was able to do it with. Because some of the people. So my junior year, we were ranked in the top 25 for a little bit during the season in Division III, and that was huge. We went to a big invite in Indiana, where the D1 course, where they raced the D1 course at the time, and we beat Purdue, D1 school, and like that beating Purdue, being ranked in the top 25, and thinking about some of the guys we had who, most people wouldn't have thought they would have gone on to run in college, and they did. And they were very committed to this vision, and they improved in a big way. And they were big time contributors to such a point that we were able to knock off some Division I schools and things like that. And I think that's what's cool, I think, about Division III. That's what was really cool about Greenville. Anyone who wants to run can. And if you're really committed to it, you might really do something special and contribute to the team in a big way. And if anyone who's still running is, happens to watch this, what I would say is that 4 years that you get eligibility, it's a really unique and special time. And even if you run after college, you're not gonna, unless you're on the U.S. Olympic team or something, you're not gonna be able to contribute to a team and contribute to people who may very well be friends lifelong in the same way. So it's a pretty special thing to be a part of that. And I think those team accomplishments far outweigh the individual ones. It's unique.
Sure. Yeah. Final question for you. What have you been up to? Catch everybody up to what you've been up to the last over 15 years now.
Over 15. A little of this, a little of that, I would say. On the running side, right after college, actually moved out to Boulder, Colorado. Jeff Bollet, the assistant coach, had moved out there. Followed Jeff out there and worked at a running shop out there, Boulder Running Company, and a team spun up that was sponsored through ASICS. So spent about a year running on a low-key, low-level, like pro. I guess it's pro because we got some shoes and some race entries, not, a year's salary. But it was cool to be on that team because there was some Greenville guys. There was some University of Colorado guys. I got to race against guys that I had posters of on my wall in high school. So, you look at the SLIAC, we had some pretty good runners, but you start racing guys who've been to the Olympic trials and the Olympics, and you think, oh, that's pretty neat, but also like, you guys I'll catch up. So it was a great experience. So did that, played in some bands for a time, went back to college, got an MBA, and work in tech now, which is great, and have 2 kids and live in St. Louis. 2 kids, beautiful wife, beautiful house. Life is good, yeah, and life is good, and the time has moved quickly. So
yeah, for sure.
Again, I would double down if there's like one takeaway. I know a lot of this is about reminiscing, but if there's one takeaway for anyone who's an active athlete who watches this, I would say it is so worth your time to pour everything you've got into your short time you have as a college athlete. It's a special thing that not very many people even compete at the college level. And you're going to be pushing 40, cutting your grass. So if you got a year of extra eligibility, like you'll be 41 cutting your grass or whatever. It really doesn't matter. The time to do, there's a lot of time to do a lot of other things, but that time to compete with people who will be in your wedding and know your kids, and you may still talk to every Thursday night, as we started doing on Zoom. A lot of these Greenville guys have been a small little group of us, still reminiscing, still talking. There's time for those types of things. So, the time to be an athlete and just sleep in a little bit, go to some classes, and just really compete it's a really worthwhile endeavor. I would encourage people to do that. So.
Well, I don't think we can top that inspirational point there. So I want to thank you again for joining us today and looking back and inspiring people to really give it their all. But thank you again for your time, Josh, and best of luck. And we hope to see you around.
Thanks, Brian.